All right, welcome to Here for the Horses. Glad you're here for the horses. Let's talk a little bit about what we're going to go over today so we have an idea. We're going to talk about sale ending today, which is the Sorback series. Oops, hold on. And I'll tell everybody a little bit about that. Last week's homework, we're going to talk a little bit about an improvement that's been made, something that we found out, and then something I've noticed also. So we'll talk about that. I'm going to talk about the webinar on Wednesday with Gabby Noir. Dude, I better learn how to say this before we start. Noir. I'm going to have to do that Google thing again where it pronounces it for me. And then we'll talk about this week's homework. Okay? Noir. Okay, I'm gonna go with that. Okay, so last day today is last day for the Sorback series. Sorback series is a 3-week program that I break down why a horse might have a sore back. Okay, so if you hear a lot of the times, Alexandra, that'd be a good series. Anyone that does body work for a living, that's going to be a good series for you, the Sorback series, because you're going to hear a lot from your clients that my horse's back is sore. Okay, my horse's back is sore. Okay, so as a newer, equine massage therapist, what did I always do? Well, I went out there and I started working on their back. Okay, it's not the back. It's very rarely the back. And if it is the back, it's generally because of saddle fit, riding, or leverage devices. Okay. So in the Sorback series, we talk about if it is actually the back, it could be the back because of these things. Okay. And so you want to do a check mark on these. You want to do a check mark, you know. So I always talk to people, how what do you ride them in? How do you ride them? What are they training? How's your saddle fit? And it's funny, this should probably be something that massage therapists start incorporating into their dialogue with their clients is how's your saddle fitting? Because I'll tell you what, a lot of us know that we are running around riding in saddles that don't fit our horses very well. So it's really interesting because I'll say that to some of my clients and they'll go, well, I don't think it fits perfect, but I'm doing this and this and this. It's like, okay. So at that point in time, I kind of want to take a look at it because I'm not a saddle fitter, but I have been trained in saddle fitting. And I'll also, run my hands up in there. I put the saddle on without the pad. I'll run my hands up in there, and then if I find something, I have the owner do it. Okay, and then a lot of times this has turned into me bringing over 3 or 4 saddles because I have saddles in kind of all different sizes, and I'll put them on the horse, and I'll be like, "Do you see how this one pinches here? Do you see how this one pinches here?" And the thing is, when you start putting a lot of saddles on a lot of different horses, you'll get a really good idea of what to look for and how to identify when something doesn't fit. Okay, so if you hear from your clients, my horse's saddle or my horse's back is sore, you always want to think saddle first. Okay, and that goes for if your friends are saying, "Oh, his back is sore." Go, well, how's your saddle fitting? And then mess around with it. Like put your hand under there when there's no pad and see what happens. And just see if you can find areas that are pinching or too small or your hand doesn't slide. It's like slides here and then whoop, there's no skin there and then whoop, it's stuck there. Okay. So there's bridging, there's pinching, there's a whole bunch of different stuff. No clearance on the scapulas can make them lift their scapulas, okay? And then that causes tension in the wither. So a lot of different issues if the saddle doesn't fit. So that can cause a sore back. So that's the first week as we talk about things that might cause a sore back that are, man-made stuff like, whoops, this is our fault, okay, sort of deal. Yeah, that sounds good. That'd be fun. And then the second week I talk about how to palpate a back. Okay, so and I know that this is gonna go different through whoever you're talking to, but I don't do the whole rip my fingernail down a horse's back thing to palpate a back. I don't do it because if you have a sensitive horse, they're gonna from that anyways. So um that's not an accurate way to palpate for a sore back, I don't think. So I teach my method, which is kind of a planing method and sliding deck. And then I also teach how to palpate the glutes to see if they're tight. Okay, so that's week 2. Week 3, we go into the muscles that cause a sore back. Okay, so newsflash, it's not the back, it's normally from the hind end. Okay, so that we're going to talk about that in the Sorback series. Today's the last day for the sales, 25% off. So I'll find the code here in a second and I'll put it up for you guys. But today's the last day at midnight. No, 11:45. 11:45. Oh, thank you, Alexandra. You're nominated because Kristen's not here, so now you're the assistant. So yeah, Sorback series 25 is the code. Okay. And then on the last day, I go over how to massage for all those muscles that I talk about in week 3. So it's technically a 4-week series, but I call it a 3-week series because it sounds better. Sounds better. So and this is a do at your own pace, so you'll just have the recordings. But I go over every muscle that I want you to work on, and then I go through the leg range of motion. So those of you that have my online clinic already, you already have the massage section of it, but you don't have the other 3 weeks of it. Okay, so it's a great series. I think it's really useful. If you're a massage therapist, I think it's really a great addition to what you're going to be doing, and you're going to run into this issue a lot. So I would say that if you're a massage therapist, there's 3 things that you need to know. Okay, I will, Lise. 3 things you need to know: how to get tension out of the face and head, and those of you that have been doing Journey Through the Horse, you know what I'm talking about, right? Have we not discovered some issues with face and head in a lot of these horses? It's been insane. So face and head is huge, 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 huge. So you're going to want to figure that out. You want to figure out if somebody says my horse has a sore back, and that's all from the hind end. Okay, and then the third thing is the bonus section, which is leg range of motion, front and back. Those are the 3 main things that I think are so incredibly important when doing horses. I just don't skip them. I just don't skip those things because it can do so much good for your horse. Okay, so let me find the code here first before I forget. Oops, Sylvie wants in. Okay. System. Okay. So that's the Sorback series. Like I said, it's on until tonight. 25% off. Let me grab the code real quick and I'll put it in the chat. But it's pretty cool. It's a fun series. And then along with that, I also give my guide to my 6-step guide to releasing tension in your horse's face and head. So this is kind of a written guide of what we do in the clinic. Okay, which is kind of nice to have because you don't have to go off of memory. It's kind of one of those things you can print off and you can just put in. You can put it in your barn. Okay, so here's the Sorback series link. There you go. Okay, so that's the Sorback series on sale, 25% off till 11:45 tonight. I don't know about you guys, but daylight savings got me because I came home. My daughter wanted to go shopping, and I came home and I was like, I am so tired. So then I looked up and it was 4:30. I was like, oh my gosh, how did that happen? Okay, last week's homework. Does anyone have any questions before I kind of dive into what I want to talk about? Anyone have any questions? Pretty cool stuff. I mean, it's easy. Last week was easy. This week's going to be pretty easy. Okay.
Oh, wow.
Okay. All right.
Beef bone broth that I
So, let's talk a little bit about last week. Now, what I think was we've had some pretty amazing improvements in some horses, okay? And we talked about them. I talked about them with Rada because they were similar. So, Declan, we had a pretty amazing breakthrough with him. Yeah, she like, that's my horse. We had a pretty amazing breakthrough with him this week. And it was a very small change that I had her made, and I'm really happy with how it went. And so I'm glad that this is why I ask for follow-up videos because I don't know if what I'm telling you guys to do is gonna be the fix. Okay. So I want to see what we have going on. And then if I need to do another one, then I would do that too. And then also Roger made a big improvement. And I think we already talked about him, but they were kind of making the same movement. So let's take a look at that first here because I want y'all to see the video and we can do it really fast. But I want you to see the video of what Declan had going on. Let me pull up the first one here. And this is something that you can run into, okay? And so we're going to talk about what this ended up being, which, great information, right? It's great information. Also, Marge had put up a question about red light therapy. So, and I know that some of you had responded to that. So if you guys would like to exchange information so that you can talk to Marge about it if she has any questions, that would be great because red light is really cool. I don't have information on it though. I think Jenny and there's a couple other people on here that responded back to it. So we love modalities. Oh, and I actually talked about modalities on my podcast. So I think I put what's the best modality out there or something like that. But I like all modalities. I don't have a problem with any of them. So if you want to check that podcast out, go ahead and do that. I do rank them though, in my own opinion, which, depending on who you talk to is going to be different, which is okay. Okay, so let's look at this video real quick. I just want you to see a behavior so that you can identify it if you ever see it yourself. Okay. Is this going to respond to me or what? Hello. Oh, I froze. Okay, now I unfroze. Now my computer's froze. Hold on. Nope, now it's unfroze. Hold on. Come on. Me, because I'm freezing up here. Hello. Hey. Hello.
Yeah, we can hear you. If that's
Okay,
what
good.
if you keep saying
Yes.
hello, and that's why. Sorry, a little slow.
Okay. So my screen just went black. Okay, now I'm back. Hold on. Okay, now can everyone see my screen?
Not yet.
Okay. I'm gonna stop share and see if that helps. I don't want technical difficulties today. Okay. And then we're back. Let's try again. If not, I'm gonna have to do charades for all of you. That'll be embarrassing. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Can everyone see? It's still dark on my screen, but it's acting like it's functioning now. Hold on. Come on, computer, you can do it. So I'm going to describe it while we're waiting here. So Stephanie started working on Declan, and he started doing that mouth grinding thing where it's like tension. Ah. Okay, now we saw that also in Sam, which is Nancy's thoroughbred that she works on, and we also saw it in Roger, the gray Arabian of Gales. Okay, so anytime you see that movement, that is tension. And you'll definitely want to pay attention to when they're doing it, try to figure out why they're doing it. Okay. And then also, do they snap out of it themselves, or does it stay the same or get worse? Okay. So, come on. I mean, honestly, let's just see. I'm gonna try not to make it big here. Hold on. Okay, can you guys see that? Okay, good. Okay, so watch Declan here. Ooh, let me try to get that off there. Okay. So watch Declan's mouth here. And look at what it does to his neck. It's freezing. Okay. Okay. I don't know. This is gonna work. Okay, here we go. Look at his neck, guys. Okay. Really strained. And then he comes back to check with her, which I think is really cute. But look at where her hands are at. Okay, withers. Now, horses, I'm gonna stop this. This is ridiculous. Horses are normally really love this move. Okay. It's one of their favorite moves um when you're scratching their withers. It's kind of their go-to move as horses also, right? So when you see them out in the pasture, this is what they do with each other. So as she was kind of brushing his withers, he just had that okay. And I kept watching because I don't want to make any conclusions right away until I kind of see that behavior. But what I noticed is that it was causing his neck to go like this and get really tight, and all the muscles in his neck were bulging out. Okay. So I don't want to have him create strain while getting a massage. So another reason I don't like carrot stretches, okay? Because that's creating strain to get the carrot. That's not relaxation. My goal is relaxation. Okay. So I had told Stephanie that we have to stop that behavior because it's not a healthy behavior. And then I had also told Gail with Roger that we want to interrupt that behavior. And the slight difference with Gail is that when she saw that, she was stopping. So she was doing some work, and then he would go into that tension, and then she would stop. Okay. So I had told her, don't stop, because that's kind of teaching him to keep doing that, like the tension goes away or the pressure goes away when you stop and when you make those mouth movements. So the second video that Gail showed was a huge improvement. Okay, it was a huge improvement. So that was a pretty darn big deal. And then also, Stephanie sent in the follow-up video where she's interrupting the behavior. Okay, so I'm gonna risk it again and try to get this, see if this thing's gonna decide to behave, because I would like you guys to see it. But if you have a chance, go ahead. Okay, here we go. So this is the first video. And look at how lightly she's massaging. And do you see how tight that neck is? Okay. Okay. So that's the first video. Now she sent a follow-up after I had said to interrupt that behavior a little bit. Okay, this is it right here. So let's see how long the computer takes. So what she did is she would interrupt every time he would start to do that. And I also said, we have to get the tension out faster. Okay. So I said, kind of go for it. A little bit harder, a little bit more aggressive, kind of scratching, rubbing, moving around, slapping, pounding, change it up a little bit. Okay. So let me see if I close it. So what we found is there was a huge improvement. And she really kind of stopped that behavior from happening altogether, which was pretty impressive. And then if you can see his neck, let me see if I can stop this and then pull it up individually. When you can see his neck, it's much looser this second time. Okay. Huh. I don't know. It is not working. So the plan for that was to scratch it harder, kind of interrupt the behavior. Okay. And then my other plan, because what I want you to think about, so she's touching the wither and she's touching the scapula, but that was mostly wither. So what muscle is that? That's going to be the thoracic rhomboid. And that's also going to be the equine trapezius. Okay. So it's those two muscles that lift the scapula up, forward, and back. Okay. So what do you think could influence those muscles? You can write it in the chat if you want. Yeah. Yeah. So the first thing I asked was, how's the saddle fit? Okay. How's the saddle? Because what I've noticed with horses that have a saddle that isn't fitting is to compensate, the scapula always comes up to protect them. It almost always comes up. They don't normally, and the back will hollow out. Okay. Scapula comes up, back hollows out. But that was my first question to her. And Stephanie had said we had a bad fitting saddle like a year ago, right, Stephanie? She had it. Yeah. So she got a proper fitting saddle. And sometimes, your saddle becomes, and I don't know what the case was with this one, but your saddle doesn't fit anymore because your horse grew. So those of you that have young horses, remember that. Or if they get muscled up, that saddle that fit when they were skinnier, it doesn't fit anymore. Okay. So dressage horses, for the most part, are fit twice a year, which is a lot. Western saddles don't get fit. You fit them and then you ride off into the sunset, right? So we have to keep an eye on these Western saddles. And I mean, dressage saddles, they're so precise. That's why there's so many dressage saddle fitters out there. And they're kind of nice because you can just move some of the flocking around and help it, or you can adjust some of the trees. The Western saddle, you have to make sure that it fits. And then if it doesn't, there's stuff you can do with a saddle pad or whatever, and like kind of shimmy some stuff around, but the saddle itself doesn't change. Okay. Oh, aging horses. Yeah, for sure. For sure, aging horses. Okay. Because they start to lose that muscle tone. It's really hard to keep it on them. Okay. So yeah, there's shimming you can do. I mean, how many of us have rolled up a towel, a kitchen towel? I mean, honestly, I had like 3 kitchen towels rolling around out there, and I would just like adjust them as I went, okay? Because you're not going to buy a new Western saddle every time your horse is kind of going through a change. You have to adjust it. And then get your horse where you want them, and hopefully that's where the saddle fits. Okay. So big improvement in Declan, but Stephanie had said that the saddle didn't fit for a while. It was pinching, okay? And then she got a new saddle, and the new saddle does fit. Okay. That brings me to my point. Tension accumulates over time, and this is a Masterson method saying, okay? Tension accumulates over time. And then he says that horses cannot get rid of tension on their own. I don't really say that because I don't think that every horse is running around with the same amount of tension they've always had. I think they can get rid of some of it on their own. Okay. But when they can't, they need help. And a saddle that's pinching could definitely be one of those situations. Okay. So just because the new saddle fits now doesn't mean that there's not tension from the old saddle. Does that make sense? Okay. So I want you to think about that like across the board. You can think about it with injuries. Just because the injury is healed, it doesn't mean there's not tension still from the injury. It doesn't mean there's not compensation from the injury. It doesn't mean there's not emotional baggage and trauma from the injury. Okay. So, so when you identify, and when she said this is, there was a saddle that didn't fit him, I was like, okay, good, 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 good. And that's probably not what he expected me to say. But that's great news because now what we're going to do is we're going to get the tension out and then it's not going to come back. That's great news. Okay, so he just needs help getting rid of the tension. And you could see when you guys have a chance to watch that video, there was a lot of tension. Like it was upsetting to him emotionally to even think about it. So that change is going to be a really big deal. And by the second video, and it says follow up of Declan's, I don't know what the rest was, but follow up. You'll see a huge change in not only the way that his neck looked, like he wasn't doing that posture anymore. Okay. And she was shutting that behavior down before he got into that. It was awesome. All right. So that was really good to watch. And then Roger had a similar situation where kind of stopping or changing that behavior was helpful. And because of that, this is something that Rada and I have been working on with Chester also in a different way. But I had Rada on she's my trainer, for a short call, and we kind of talked about different methods that you can use to help horses that are struggling. So feel free to check that video out. And what's cool is that, and this was interesting because Stephanie disrupted that behavior in a different way than I would have, and it worked. Okay, so
Yeah.
there isn't, what's the saying, 10 ways to skin a cat or something like that. It doesn't matter how you do it if it works, as long as it's not cruel, right? So Stephanie interrupted the behavior a little bit different by kind of like shaking at him or, telling him no or something. Rada was saying to move his feet. Okay. I wouldn't have moved his feet. I just would have made noises at him or something like that. Okay. But whatever stops the behavior from escalating is what was appropriate. And Stephanie found out what worked. So it was awesome. Okay. So that was a really interesting thing that I saw this week. And I also want you to remember that past garbage can still be stored in the body until you get it out. Okay, so if you've had an ill-fitting saddle in the past, you're going to need to address anything. And that really showed up big time with Declan this week because he had never done that movement before in his mouth. I've never seen it on a video. So I was like, what's going on here? and then asked about the saddle and the saddle fit was a problem in the past. Okay, so that should be solved. And we have one more step that I want to that that I think is going to finish that tension off. Does anyone here think they know what it is? Put it in the, now remember, trapezius, okay? Trapezius and thoracic rhomboid. Yeah. Okay. So when you know that there's tension in an area, I kind of want you guys to start, and this is for some of my people who have already been through the program. Don't feel like if you're brand new, she's like, now she wants us to look up muscles. No, no, no. This is for my people who've been around for a while. But if there's tension in an area, I want you to think about what muscles are there. And when they're contracted, what do they do? Okay. And then if I were to try to stretch them, what would I have to do? Okay. So think about your own shoulders. So everybody lift your shoulders up to your ears as much as you can like this. Okay. Now think about rolling around like this for who knows how long with a backpack. Okay. Now what are you going to have to do? You take the backpack off. Okay, cool. And then your shoulders go down to here and you're still walking around with tension. Can anyone still feel the tension just from doing that for like 10 seconds? I can. Okay, so how would you stretch your shoulders then? Oh, yeah, Linda's going across the body. Yeah, Jennifer went like this. Think about that, you guys. I'm pressing straight down with my shoulders. Okay, so I want you to think about how you're going to do that for the horse. So what Stephanie did this week is scratch, 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 pound, 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 scratch, 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 scratch. Okay, and then up and down the scapulas. What we're going to do in a couple weeks is front leg range of motion. Okay, so front leg range of motion is going to be this: down and forward. Ooh, that was good. Down and back. Okay, so you guys can see how that would be really helpful for getting those scapulas that have been holding a saddle up like this down. Okay, because just because you take that saddle off, right, that was pinching him and probably making his scapulas come up like this, and you take it off and he goes, okay, cool, and now his shoulders are here, but we want his shoulders here. Okay, they're not going to go there if they have too much tension, if he has accumulated tension. So now we're going to help him. And that's why when it's here and someone starts messing with it, he's like, this is horrible. This doesn't feel good. So you have to get past that, go through it, meet him on the other side and bring him relaxation. Okay, so that's what we're going to be doing for him in a little bit when we get to the leg range of motion. So that's going to be exciting. Okay. I want to try it again. Should I? Hold on. I'm like, come on, man, work for me. What are you doing? I'm gonna try one more time. Okay, hold on. Oh, Jesus, it is not even gonna pull up the website. What's going on here? Look, even my Zoom meeting acts like it's not functioning. I'll just make that go away. No, that'll probably end us. Okay, obviously this is not gonna work. That's crazy. All right, you guys have to watch that on your own. Okay. Another example of this, which I thought was interesting, was Busy. Okay, Susie's little mare Busy. She pulls a cart. All right, a little sulky. So if you guys remember watching some of her videos in the beginning, she's so funny because she had a fair amount of tension in her face. Okay, and so her tension comes out not but it comes out in her feet and she moves them sideways, which is really funny because very rarely do horses move their feet sideways. Okay, so if you think about, what does everybody always say to take away power from a horse in the hind end? You disengage their hind end, you move their feet sideways in the back. Okay, so if you watch her in the stall when she's kind of going through something, her little front feet go like this, like a little two-step. Okay, it's super cute. So what I was saying with her is that I think it's funny that her tension comes out in her feet. Okay, and so So I was talking to her, or I commented on her last video that um I haven't seen her feet move. I haven't seen her feet move recently. Now she got a lot of that tension out in her face, and she does not have as much in her neck or her withers and shoulder. Okay, so it's mostly face and pull. So her feet haven't been moving. She's been standing really still. And she hasn't done the sideways two-step that I was seeing a lot in the face and head. Okay, so that was kind of interesting to see that improve just over time. We didn't draw a lot of attention to it. I mentioned it, but I didn't be like, we got to get those feet figured out. No, I wasn't too concerned, but her feet haven't moved. So when you notice things about what your horse does, I want you to just make a mental note or write it down. So when I got Georgia for a while, I would keep a journal, and it was really funny. I went through it the other day and it's wild. Like it's like a different horse. Okay. So keep a little journal of your horse. And as you're going through like journey through the horse, keep notes as you're going, and you're gonna see really big improvements, and you're gonna forget about them. Like you're gonna forget that that used to be a thing. Okay. So I find that super interesting. And then Alexandra had a really cool video with her horse also, and we kind of figured out that Alexandra, what breed is she?
She's Oldenburg, but her whole damn side is chicaner.
Okay, and how do you say her name again?
Lyra.
Lyra. Okay. Um, yeah, so she was interesting because I was watching her, and she would stand really good while Alexandra was doing work on her, and it'd be like, okay, scratch, 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 scratch. But there was like this moment where I could tell like she's getting tired of that, like she just kind of be like, all right, that's good, you got it. And so what I asked Alexandra to do is change your stroke up a little bit faster and try to do it before Lyra has to move. Okay. So because what she'd do, she'd stand really still and she'd be really good and she'd be kind of enjoying it. And then all of a sudden she'd be like, I don't like this anymore, and she'd kind of move around. And then she would change her stroke to, percussion or something like that. And she would stand still again. Okay. So she just needed that little change in the stroke. And it became really beneficial for her that she could handle more work like that. So my goal or my advice for Alexandra was try to change that stroke before she moves her feet. And so I think it's like around a 10-second mark. It's not very long. She doesn't have like a long, normally it's like 2 minutes, 2 minutes where I'm like, all right, different stroke now. Hers is like 10. It'd be interesting to kind of time it, because I should go back and watch that video and time it, because it's a pretty consistent time gap where she can handle the amount of work. Okay. So it kind of reminds me of like petting a cat, and then all of a sudden the cat like freaks out. It's like they were cool for a little while and then they don't like it. So you kind of have to change what you're doing. So we'll see how that works, because that'll be really interesting with her. And then that's great information to have about your own horse. Like, hey, she can tolerate this for about 10-15 seconds, and then over time also, does that get longer, or is that it? Okay. So it kind of reminds me of thoroughbrediness, like where you got about this long to do that move, and then you better move on to the percussion and slapping, because they're not going to appreciate it. Okay. And then I also, on top of that, would want to ask myself, does this also transfer into training, riding? you know do I have to change things when I'm riding because she gets sick and tired of doing the same thing? Okay, it would just be cool information to know about her. Alexandra's nodding.
She does kind of have like a short attention span.
Yeah.
Okay, we did this. Moving on.
Yep. Yeah, and I feel like sometimes when you know there's these ideas that some horses need to be patterned, right? Like some horses want a pattern, like pattern, 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 pattern. And so that gains their confidence. But if you pattern other horses, it annoys the crap out of them. Okay. So Georgia is definitely a pattern girl. Like if I need, like for the rodeo, I was like, listen, honey, we're just gonna do this same one lap around the arena with the flag at the canter on the left lead 100 times. And that made her very confident. She knew the job, she knew how to do it well, she knew exactly what I wanted, exactly what was expected. Okay. If you do that with another horse that is not the type that you need to pattern, they're going to make it more exciting on their own. They're going to be like, this is boring. I knocked this out of the park 17 times ago. Now I'm annoyed. I don't want to do that. And they start making it more exciting for themselves. Okay. So knowing what horse you have there can be very valuable. Okay. All right. So that was exciting from last week. 3 times I'm bored, quarter horse. Yeah. Yep. Exactly. Yeah. Extra left brain extrovert horses want variety. Okay, yes, good. Left brain extrovert. Yeah. Okay. Sometimes I always have to stop and think whenever I'm doing that. Yeah. It's really important to kind of work. This is where the work on the horse in front of you comes into play. Because if you don't, you're gonna have some problems. And we kind of see that in massage also. Okay. All right, any questions on last week? I'm sorry the videos are not working, but maybe we'll try one more time before we get off. But I'm not doing it now. But you guys can check those out. That's on the coaching community. Okay, questions? All right. Also Wednesday, 10:30 Pacific Standard Time, I'm having Gabby Noir. See, if I don't look at it, I can say it better. I can't look at the name. Gabby Noir on, and she's going to probably talk about, I think we narrowed it down to like making a happy horse. She also has a live webinar coming up on Saturday, so she's going to be talking about that on there. And I have some great questions I came up with. So that's going to be a great webinar to join. I will eventually have that out to watch for free, but it's going to take me a little while because it's not going to be something I'm going to do right away. So if you can join us Wednesday, 10:30 Pacific Standard, it'll be an hour Pacific Standard Time. It's CET time for her. So is that Central European Time? Is that what that stands for? And it's 6:30 for her. So join us for that if you can. That link is on my Facebook page. This Saturday, as I mentioned, Gabby's having her own, it's a 3-year anniversary for a program that she does. So that's going to be really cool. I am taking Georgia, I hope, cross my fingers, to Fort Lewis, which is a big Army base here locally. And they're having an event for the soldiers and their families. And so I'm bringing Georgia down there for the soldiers and their families to be able to pet a horse. So I'm super excited because, you know, people who are deployed and have horses at home or grew up with horses and haven't seen horses in a long time, man, that can just make their day. So that's going to be really exciting. And Georgia's just the best at that. She just, you know, she doesn't really like to be touched, but when she knows it's game time and her job is to let people touch and, you know, cry on her and hug her neck and all that stuff, they sure do appreciate it. And I know that this is going to be a family event, so all the kids of the soldiers, you know, that live on the base are going to be able to come. And so anyone seeing a horse that hasn't seen a horse or kids seeing horses, it really makes their day. So that's going to be going on Saturday. So I will have some live updates going up on that. Should be some cool video. I do have to take her to Fort Lewis on Tuesday, though, for like an inspection or something. So fingers crossed that she passes that. I already gave them her vaccine report or whatever, and then I don't know what they're going to do. It's too late to pull a Coggins, so I assume they're not going to do that. So I don't know if they're just going to look her over or what. But let's hope that she passes that, and she should, because she's quite healthy. And then Saturday we will be oh yeah, Yeah, that's awesome. So, Fort Lewis actually has an awesome riding area too. I've ridden there one time, so it's kind of cool. But there's a lot of, especially with what's going on now, there's a lot of red tape we have to go through. So my inspection's on Tuesday, so let's hope that goes well. Okay, homework for this week. Oh gosh, should I try to pull up our homework? Hold on. I'm sure if I like logged out, it would pull up, but I mean, seeing I'm running the meeting, I can't really log out. Okay, cool. That's not gonna work. Uh, this week we are doing, somebody knows. What was the first one? It's the belly and one other one. Um, bicep, thank you. Paige is like, wham! The guns are out, baby. Bicep, the bicep rub. So this is another fan favorite of horses, and this is one where you might not know this is their favorite. So this is going to be really exciting. Okay. For Georgia, she loves this one. So this is where you're going to go around. You're going to go around. Leanne, can you pull up equine bicep and I'll share the screen, please? The muscle, please. Because I want you guys to see where the bicep is. And what does a bicep do on us? This. Okay, so last week we talked about tricep. Tricep does this. Here, bicep does this. Flexes the elbow. Okay, so equine bicep does the same thing. And that's a big job. Okay, so we talked a little bit about the tricep and how to release that in the extra bonus video that I gave. Bicep is a small muscle kind of in the front, but it goes from the shoulder joint down to the foreleg. Okay, so as you are doing the scapula rub up and down like this, now what we're going to do, we're going to go scapula, we're going to wrap around the shoulder joint. Okay, wrap around the shoulder joint and then go down toward the foreleg. Okay, and you're going to get that bicep muscle kind of rub, scratched, pressed on, and you're going to find that around that shoulder joint, they really like it. Okay, so you want to spend some time there. Super easy. It's as easy as the scapula rub and the wither rub. Okay, you're going to probably find them doing some stretches like this, stretches like that. Okay. And so you'll want to spend a little bit of time there, and then you're also going to slap too. So this is another one that you could have incorporated into the pectoral rub. Okay, so we've done scapula, and then you kind of move down into the chest and did the pectoral. You can hit this one along that way, so it's kind of that triangle area. Okay, so make sure to hit that bicep, and you can also do some slapping on that. All right, Leanne's going to share it here. I'm not blaming my computer. They're all sleeping. Our computers all need breaks.
So I said share, but it doesn't seem to be sharing. So,
Uh-oh. We're striking out on this computer stuff today. Let me
start
see
share is what I did.
I'm going to make you a co-host and see if that helps. I mean, my computer's just given up. I'm surprised this call is still going.
Do you see that or not?
Let me see.
It says I'm screen sharing,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. Okay, cool.
I mean, this one on the right is kind of blurry.
Yeah, that's it.
The smaller one here. I mean, I
Yeah,
think
that's okay. I just want people to be able to see, right? Yeah,
Right.
that is the muscle we're going to be going for. Okay. So you can see how that's going to go from that. This is the shoulder joint at the top. Okay, the scapula goes into the shoulder joint. So that point of shoulder on your horse is where you're going to kind of do the little circle around that. And you're going to find that they love that. Okay. And then you're just going to go down the front of that. And it fits really well in your hand like this. Okay. So that's how I have my hand when I'm doing it, just up and down that bicep there. And you're going to find they really like that. Okay. So that's the bicep rub. All right. Thank you, Leanne. And then, belly rub. Let's talk a little bit about it. So if you are rubbing the belly, there's a couple things, safety tips and tricks. If you already know your horse doesn't like their belly rubbed, you're going to do a little different method. Okay. You can gently rub a circle and see how they react, but you're going to go in slapping instead. Okay. Sounds like a bad idea, doesn't it? But the rubbing is a bad idea if they don't like it. Okay. So for those of us going in not knowing whether our horse likes it or doesn't like it, what we're going to do is we're going to just rub the belly. Big circles, big circles. Now, I kind of want you to be facing slightly forward so that you can keep an eye on the face of your horse. So don't have your butt toward them and then start rubbing their belly, which is something they might not like. I bet some of you are going to be surprised at how much your horse does like this. Okay. But I do kind of want you facing a little bit forward so that you can watch the reaction of your horse. I want you to go in slow and do big circles. Now, some people say, do a circle in this direction. I don't do any of that. It doesn't matter. I do circles in both directions. Okay. Because I'm not sure what the reasoning is. You need to keep an eye on the hind leg. Oh, really, March? Oh, that's funny. Chester a little bit too. Yeah. Chester kicked at my vet. It made my vet so mad because he went to clean his sheath. And it was funny because my vet kind of knew he was going to kick too, which was interesting because he didn't want to clean his sheath. And I was like, well, he's under sedation. So, now's the time, sir. But he like didn't want to do it. And I kept going like, do it. Because he's under sedation. And yeah, he woke up out of that sedation real quick and kicked at him. So yeah, he kind of knew that was coming. Try slapping and see what happens, but just going nice and slow, keep an eye, and then stay in the proper area. So stay up in front of that leg swing. But belly rub, big circle first. Do like 3 or 4 circles. Okay? Get a gauge on how your horse feels about it. If they like it or they're starting to enjoy it, keep going. If you're not sure, keep going. If they don't like it, move to some slaps. If you have a horse that you can hold their halter, you can do that. Because I have long arms, so I can hold the halter. But, Alexandra, you're out of luck. You ain't touching that head standing back there. Yeah, exactly. Okay. So that's the belly rub. Super easy. Circles to the left, counterclockwise. Move the bad out. Circles clockwise. Put the good in. Oh, cool. Thanks, Nancy. Now we know. So counterclock, and is that, would that be different per what side you're standing on? So interesting. So yeah, I think I just kit and caboodle it all together. But there you go. You can try that out and see what you notice. So that's the belly rub. Listen, if they don't like it now, try again in the summer. When the flies have been bothering them, they might change their mind real quick. I also want you to, this is through years of massaging, I want you to be aware that just because they lift their leg up does not mean they don't like it. Some of them might be like, you're almost there, little further back, please. Okay. So when you're rubbing the belly, they know you're really close to rubbing, whether it's their teats or their sheath or whatever, because that area gets ignored, right? And if it's itchy or has crud up in there, then it's uncomfortable and they want it rubbed. Okay. I didn't know Georgia wanted her little area rubbed until one summer she was rubbing her little belly on the ground. You know, when they are on the ground, they're like laying down and they do that like they're having like a seizure thing. Okay. So if you ever see that, they want their belly rubbed. Okay. So belly rub. Um, let's talk about the belly lift, please. Okay. I know that this is another one of those. I don't like carrot stretches and I don't like belly lifts, and I'm going to tell you why. Okay. Listen, we all want a six pack. Okay. But you can't do 3 sit-ups and get a six-pack. So those people that are saying, if you want to strengthen your horse's top line, do belly lifts. It doesn't work. And I've tried it. Okay. Do you know how many belly lifts you would have to do to actually strengthen a horse's top line? It would be insane how often you would have to go out there. Okay. So, belly lifts do not strengthen a top line. That really does need to be done with proper work on the ground or under saddle. And personally, I'm not a good enough rider to get a lot of stuff done under saddle. I have to do most stuff on the ground. My skills are much better on the ground. I'm more confident. Some of you guys are amazing riders and have a lot of training and you have great feel and you can do things under saddle. You're awesome. I wish I could. But belly lifts do not improve a top line. And I know that people teach that, but you know, my podcast is called Tales from the Field because I've been in the field a lot. I've worked on a lot of horses and I've tried a lot of things. And I've noticed over time, like, it's great to learn things in like a school book setting or, you know, in like a clinic setting or whatever. But when you're doing it, is it not different or what? Like, even think about Journey Through the Horse. This is great, you know, that you guys get to see videos and go and try it, but it's a little different when you do it on your own horse, isn't it? Okay. It's just a little different. So it's really important to, you know, take all this information in, apply it as much as you can, and then start working with the information that you have because what works for one horse does not work for another. And just because ideas like a belly lift uses these muscles, it should improve a top line. It doesn't mean it improves a top line. Okay. And I know why it's taught because it is the proper movement that you want in order to strengthen all those muscles and the trunk. It just doesn't play out in reality. Okay. And I tried to do it on my gelding because he had kind of a weak top line and I couldn't stick with it. That was the thing. I guess if you're out there all day and you just do that, maybe. I would love to see some pictures of that. Okay. So belly lift, let me talk about it a little bit. I do use it for something though. It's in the clinic for a reason. I want to know how awake are the abdominals and the obliques. Okay. And one way to test it is a belly lift. So if you're going to ask your horse to lift their belly, and the way I teach this, you're going to have to figure out what works best for your horse. Okay. I can kind of make all of them work, but I have found that watching other people do it, certain horses respond to doing the belly lift a certain way. Okay, so I'm going to tell you all the methods that you have available to you. So you might want to write these down because if one doesn't work, some of the other ones should. Okay, one of the methods you can use for the belly lift is you kind of take either your thumb or your fingertips. You start where the girth is and you run it along the center line toward their pelvis. Okay, so you're just going to go here, right along the center line, and then they go, woo. Okay. That is probably my least favorite. I find it's a little, I wouldn't say aggressive, but it's a little intense. It's a little intense. And they don't like it. Okay, so that's my least favorite. Another method is, and I like you guys to use the sound effects because it always makes everything better. You're gonna put your fingers together like this. You're gonna go right in the midline, and you're gonna go coochie coochie coo, coochie coochie coo, coochie coochie coo. Okay? You're thinking in your own mind, I want this rib cage to lift, 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 lift. Okay? If you just do this, it doesn't work. You have to, in your mind, go, I want this to lift. And then you move your hands back, lift. Move your hands back, lift. And you're going to do that from the girth all the way to, 3/4 back, their belly. Okay? Third method. This one I feel works pretty darn good. That one works really good if you do it correctly. If you just go like this, they just go, yeah, scratch it. I don't care. You have to think up, 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 up. Sometimes I'll make noises like, come on. Okay. Third method. This one works. Whoops. Amy's trying to get in. Who knows how long she's been sitting there? Sorry, our computers have been crashing half the time anyway, so it doesn't matter. So third method, I feel like this one works really well. You're gonna bring your rakes out, your rakes, and you go girth here, up, here, up, here, up, all the way down the midline. Okay, so to the girth, get kind of some action in your fingers, go back and forth while lifting and thinking up. Okay, you have to lift and think up. Now, what I want is I want to know how much the muscles respond to that. So this is an assessment. I use this as an assessment. How awake are the abdominals and the obliques of this horse? Because I'll tell you what, you can find out what horses actually engage their abdominals properly when under saddle by doing this. If it's dead and it's really delayed and they really struggle to lift that rib cage up when you do this, they are not using their abdominals and obliques under saddle. It's really like a lethargic act. If you're asking them to lift, what happens is you'll ask them to lift and they're really heavy and then they go, Okay, it's really slow. Like it's slow and it's hard for them to do. Okay, but if you go, come on, lift up, and they go, you got it, and I'm asking for this much. I'm not asking, like, I don't want a round back. Okay, this isn't a Halloween cat. I want 1 inch everywhere I go up their back. Okay, so what's great is if you can put them against a wall for the video. And this because sometimes you can't really tell that they've gone up 1 inch, right? Unless you're paying a lot of attention. Sometimes you can't tell that they've flexed that back. Okay. So put them like next to a wall, and then for the video, have the video going on them. My wall has like marks, so you can really see like all of a sudden the back is here, and then all of a sudden it like eclipses the line in the wall because it goes up 1 inch. So you're just looking for about 1 inch, at the very most 2 inches. Okay. And you want it to be pretty responsive. So what I feel like this can really help horses do is wake up the abdominals and the obliques. And it also tells you that might be something you need to work on through training and riding. sometimes if you have a horse that looks really pretty when it's going and it's got some nice vertical flexion, but its back is hollowed out, they won't have any obliques. This exercise is very difficult for them, and they have a really hard time lifting that stomach. Okay. So this is definitely an assessment, and then see if you can get that to improve. So you want to do like three sets of it. Do one on the one side, flip to the other side, try another method. Okay. And then flip back and see if you can get them to like wake up to that oblique. Okay. So a lot of times in the gym for like glutes or whatever, they talk about, you know, getting your glutes to wake up before you do squats. And one thing that they have you do is do pulses at the bottom of a squat, just air pulses, you know, body weight pulses. And it tells your glutes to wake up. Okay, so we want to test our abdominals and obliques here with the belly lift, and then we want to wake them up. Okay, so this will be a good one. I'm sorry you're not going to improve a top line of your horse out there just doing belly lifts all day. But at least you'll know if your horse has, if they have healthy abdominals and obliques, then you're good. That's great information for you. Okay. So there you go. There's your homework. Any questions? Any comments, concerns? Anything from homework?
I missed like the
Yeah.
whole
Hi, Amy. We got a couple new faces. How you guys doing? Martha Smith, how you doing? Is there more detail in your Sorback series? Yeah, the Sorback series goes from you're not going to hear more about obliques, but you'll hear about why the back might be sore, how to palpate it properly and rank it like on a scale. You know, because listen, we all do that anyways, right? So if you have a horse that's sore, you go, oh, you know, when you touch their back and you go, well, they're only kind of sore, right? They're sort of sore. Or you go, oh my gosh, what happened? Like when they go, ah, okay, so I rank them from like 1 to 5, and I'll say, this is a 2. You know, I might still ride at a 2, but I'm not riding at a 4. Okay. And then when you do the work, you go back and you rank them again. Or 1 to 10, whatever works best for you. You got to pick your own scale. And just remember, somebody else's scale is not your scale. Oh, okay. Yeah. So yeah, you have to figure out your own scale. And then when I say check your work, then you rescale it. So I do that all the time. I got, or you'll hear me say, I got this percentage of improvement. You guys heard that on the jaw release, right? Oh, the jaw is only at about 45% right now. Oh, now it's at 70. Okay, you're at 95%. There's just that one little ugly yawn that he needs to kick out there, and then he'll be at 100%. Okay, so that's just kind of how I do that. All right, that's it. Our computers need to go take a nap, and maybe we will too. We'll all get some sleep tonight. You're very welcome. You guys have a great week. Great job. Keep it up, guys. You guys are kicking butt, taking names. See you guys later. Have a good one. Thank you. Bye, guys.